Hello, my spooky darlings, and welcome to Streams and Screams, the online show thing in which I watch a film that is currently streaming online that I liked and I tell you about it. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Again, I'm going to do another list because I absolutely adore making lists. They're my favorite thing. I love to recommend movies to people that maybe have not seen those movies, or if they have seen those movies, can then agree with me about how great those movies are. So, in the spirit of that, again, something a little bit different from that too, today am going to talk about a list of horror short films that are all available for streaming online on YouTube. So you can watch them online, enjoy them. They will not take up too much of your time. So that's fun. And here's a whole list of the best ones that I really enjoy, ones that I think are super effective, very upsetting, and let's get to it. If you are new here, welcome to Black Fawn Distro. This is the channel that houses a lot of content that we create, as well as highlighting the films that we distribute. If you are a fan of genre, especially Canadian genre films, join us, subscribe, like, comment, etc., etc. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. We love to see you. And again, comment, like, etc., share your thoughts with us. I'm going to talk about some short films here. There's going to be 8 of them in total, from some names you're familiar with, some names you won't be, and some of these films you may be familiar with, some of you may not be. So I hope you enjoy. And let's get into it. Okay, so first film we're going to talk about today is Salt, which was made in 2017, I believe. Yes, by director Rob Savage, who you may recognize from another little film that he made during the pandemic that went straight to Shudder and absolutely blew everybody's minds, called Host. Fantastic film. Wonderful. So, before he did that, he did Salt, which is, again, a 2-minute film, wonderfully bite-sized. It stars Alice Lowe, who I adore from Revenge and Sightseers, both magnificent films. But it stars Alice Lowe as a mother who is trying to help her ailing daughter while they are being stalked by an entity that can only be stopped by a ring of salt in the vicinity. It's extremely effective in a small amount of time. Again, it's 2 minutes. It's really short. It's really brief, but it gets to the point. It does so very effectively. The visual effects are great. The performances, Alice Lowe, always amazing. And it really kind of tells exactly the story it needs to tell in such a short amount of time. I think it's very impactful. I love Salt. I think it's a great short film. You can check it out on YouTube. Secondly, I want to talk about Lights Out from 2013 by director David F. Sandberg. Now, that name, Lights Out, might be somewhat familiar to you as well. Lights Out was actually made into a feature film in 2016. They expanded on the idea from this short, which runs at a nice, brief 3 minutes long. It has 18 million views on YouTube currently. I think it could have stayed as a short film. I don't think it needed to necessarily be stretched out into a feature film. I do appreciate that they got the same director on board for that. However, I think that this film, again, 3 minutes, short and sweet, gets exactly what it needs to done. Excellent jump scare, excellent kind of creature-ish design. I think it's a fantastically, wonderfully sharp, brief little glimpse into pure terror that is very effective in what it does. The sound of a light switch has never been more terrifying, is all I'll say about that. So next, let's talk about The Backrooms found footage from 2019 from director Kane Parsons. This is a 9-minute film. It's got about 65 million views on YouTube, which is whopping. They are, I believe, making this into a feature film as well, but Backrooms has also kind of got a bit of a series to it. There's a number of films available on YouTube. I think by the name I think he goes by is Kane Pixels or Kane Pixel, but Backrooms found footage is the sort of original of this film collection. So The Backrooms is about a cameraman who stumbles into this reality world that feels like a corporate office version of Doom, where he's kind of stumbling around and is the true feeling of being utterly lost in an inescapable area that is wholly alien and very confusing, while at the same time looking very mundane, which kind of adds to the fear factor of it a little bit, I think. It's very simple, yet it's terrifying. The sound design of this short is impeccable. The wandering around completely at a loss for anything is extremely convincing, very unnerving, and it just kind of makes you feel in a dark claustrophobic space, even though it is very wide open. Backrooms makes you feel as though you are gradually losing your mind walking through a corporate office that is completely vacant except for these horrific 8-bit monster demon things that are chasing after you that make a horrifying sound. I think The Backrooms is one of the first horror shorts that I really saw and dug my teeth into and was like, whatever this is, I want more of it. And I definitely wanted to throw it on this list because I think it is a fantastic short and you should absolutely see it if you have not already, especially before they make it into a feature film, because as mentioned, I think that a lot of these films are going to work better as a short. When you stretch them out too long, sometimes you lose some of the magic. So keep it as a short film. You don't need to necessarily stretch it out. It works. Next, I want to talk about Curve from 2016 by director Tim Egan. Now, Curve has 11 million views on YouTube currently. It's a very simple premise. A young woman wakes up on this curved cement ledge of unknowing geography. There is a pit below that is just pure darkness, horrific sounds all around her. She does not know where she is or what's going on. You don't know either, which adds to the magic and the terror of it all. But it's nail-bitingly effective at creating this really slow tension, this unknown terror that lies below. The sound design is incredible. I feel like maybe this was partially an inspiration for The Gorge, which is currently on Apple TV or Apple Plus or whatever it's called. Apple TV. It's available there. I believe it's directed by Scott Derrickson. But anyways, I feel like The Gorge was partially inspired by Curve because it has this premise of someone being stuck. There's something terrifying below. You can see that there is someone on the other side at one point. But what's down there? You don't know. It's awful. You don't want to be down there. Effective. Then there's Mora from 2024. This is the most recent short film on this list. This was directed by Sam Evanson, who has done a lot of really incredible visual effects work, most recently on Dune 2, as well as Thor: Love and Thunder. But this film has about 1.9 million views on YouTube currently. It clocks in at like a nice, brief, easy to digest 12 minutes. It's just the right amount of time to get the story across while being wholly effective, letting it breathe a little bit, letting it get a little bit of air without overstaying its welcome. In Mora, there is an artist who hears a legend or sees a legend of this AI generated being online that can be summoned with specific prompts into an AI image generator. Now, anyone that knows AI image generators knows that this is a very bizarre concept because by nature, they don't really do the same thing twice. They are uniquely created from artificial intelligence to produce something that is not really similar, I guess. The idea of having a unique presence, a unique individual prompted by nothing specific that appears in multiple images is really cool. It's kind of this AI Easter egg hunt. So this artist naturally wants to try and find the prompts that summon this person. Mora has this great pulsating terror, really, really effective body horror. It really plays with this idea that AI can never quite get the hands right. And as this artist perhaps stumbles upon this Mora character, it gets really torturous very, very quickly. The visual effects in this are stunning. Again, he's worked on Dune 2 and Thor: Love and Thunder, so there's certainly a resume there with experience when it comes to visual effects. So incorporating AI into this short, I feel like, is such a clever way to marry the two. I don't know how much of it was AI, how much of it was intentionally generated. I imagine a lot of it was very intentionally generated because it has this consistency to it, but that adds to the impressiveness of it all, is that he's able to recreate this visual look for something that is completely unique in its own kind of messed up, weird way. That's Mora. Moving on. The other side of the box from Caleb J. Phillips, made in 2018. This one is about 15 minutes long. It's got about 21 million views on YouTube. It's great. It's very upsetting. Why is this guy so wet? What is happening? It has this deep sense of dread that kind of permeates through the whole short. This feeling that you are cornered by something you don't truly understand, and how absolutely terrifying that is. So in the short film, I should probably preface this with this. A young couple are at their home when an old friend comes by with a box. It is a gift for the gentleman of the couple. There's some implication that there's some history there. He unwraps it. It's this box that looks like there's just nothing inside. As soon as he turns away, something pops up. There are instructions to not turn your back on this box, to not look away. And as you can imagine, things get very, very scary and very, very messy very, very quickly. So the other side of the box is a very, very adept short film in terms of creating this unknowing dread and confusion and pure, unadulterated what is happening that is very effective, I think, in a horror short, because I think it's a great way to make it punchy, make it effective, make it brief, but still make it something that has a lasting impact. So the other side of the box, I should say, is a great one you should definitely check out. Okay, last two, because I'm just going to do 8 of them today, I think. But the last two are a little bit longer. So we've got The Chair from director Curry Barker. This one was made in 2023. It's got about 7.2 million views on YouTube, which surprises me. Like, it seems like it should have more, but that's also like a super high amount. So I don't know. In The Chair, a man finds a kind of cool looking antique chair on the side of the road on his way home from work, picks it up, brings it home. His girlfriend doesn't like it, so he goes to return it, and then everything just kind of gets very strange from there. It's truly an unraveling mind kind of film. It's somewhat comedic, like it's funny, but in such a bizarre way. Like, it's funny because it's so unsettling and because it's so shockingly weird that it comes across as very funny, very comedic. This is definitely the biggest WTF of all the shorts on this list. It truly makes you feel like you are losing your freaking mind. I think that's really great. Curry Barker is also responsible for another film that you may have seen buzzing around the internet called Milk and Cereal. I think this one's about like an hour long, so I didn't want to really include it on this list, but I think The Chair is one that is very effective, very punchy, very freaking weird, but in the best way. Last but absolutely not least is the longest film, coming in at 29 minutes. This is from 2011 and clocks in at about 7.4 million views, from a gentleman who you may be familiar with. His name is Ari Aster. He's come up with a couple other films, including Hereditary and Midsommar, but this was his first sort of student film that was released by the American Film Institute. This was like his thesis project, essentially, when he was in film school. I'm editing. I realized I forgot to say the name of the short film. It's The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, if you didn't know that already, because it's kind of notorious online. So back to me. Nobody quite has a vice grip on family trauma like Ari Aster. This film is, man, he just really, really gets you with this one. In the film, it follows a particularly strong and concerning relationship between a son and his father. It puts a very dark spin on what is already a very, very dark subject or topic. It is what you think it is, but it's not how you think it is. And that is kind of what makes this film so out of the box and impactful and uncomfortable. The performances in this film are incredible. Ari Aster absolutely knows how to work with actors. I don't know how he does it, but he manages to pull the most traumatized experience from his actors and really make it shine on the screen. Yeah, it's a lot. There's an argument from some that it's not necessarily a horror short, but I think absolutely it is a horror short. Absolutely it is. There's so many little individual lines of dialogue in this piece that have been twisted from how we commonly hear or see them in such a subject matter, that again, it's not what you think it is, but it's absolutely what you think it is. And that to me is kind of the magic of the Strange Things about the Johnsons, is it completely subverts your expectations. It completely subverts the tropes that you see in cinema, and he does it in a way that is so well performed and so well delivered that you buy it. You buy every second of it. My God. The Strange Thing about the Johnsons is talked about a lot, I think, in certain circles, because it is unexpected. But you know, Ari Aster and families, like, we all have them. We've all got families. So I think he's brilliant in how he picks apart those different relationships that exist within families. You have very specific relationships within families in Hereditary and Midsommar, and this is also a different version of that horrific family dynamic. So it's one you will think about a lot. Definitely like a million years of trigger warnings. It's not for everyone. But I think it's an absolute masterpiece. So yeah, there's some horror short films you can watch, you can enjoy from the comfort of your own home with YouTube. If you want to watch more horror shorts, there are some great channels out there dedicated specifically to distributing horror shorts and making them available to be easily seen by audiences. But I do want to really highlight the directors that work on these films. For a lot of them, this is a first step in a great film career. For a lot of them, this is the type of thing that they make this incredible short and you don't see much else from them, and it's an absolute travesty because they're extraordinarily talented and I'd love to see more from them. So any one of these directors, please do more. We love to see it. So yeah, there are a number of shorts you can watch on YouTube now from the comfort of your own home. And thank you for joining us. Like, follow, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. Goodbye.